to convert when your account value is down. This slide needs to be updated. How does your investment account balance look today compared to last year? Well, it probably looks better than last year, but compared to 2 or 3 years ago, maybe it's lower. So you want to convert when the value is low because you're paying tax on that value at the time of conversion. And back to the apple. The fruits of your labor, and set specific goals for your retirement and determine the probability that money will be passed to future generations. If it is extremely important to you to pass as much money and as tax efficient to future generations, passing away with a highly appreciated taxable IRA could be an expensive way to pass money along to beneficiaries. If a beneficiary inherits a Roth IRA, that's income tax-free to that beneficiary. If a beneficiary inherits a traditional IRA, there will be taxes paid. It's tax deferred for you or your beneficiaries. Roth IRA is tax-free for you or your beneficiaries.
So doesn't the estate tax come into play here too on this?
Estate tax is kind of a separate issue, and we don't really address that here because the value of an estate, say it's over the estate limit, which doesn't exist now, which is a whole nother story, but say there's a limit that exists. If we are over the estate tax limit, it doesn't matter what kind of IRA it's in, it still is part of your estate. Now, if you convert to a Roth IRA, your net worth goes down immediately because you're paying the government. So that is a benefit for estate planning purposes.
But in a stretch IRA, don't they only have to then pay a certain amount a year? And
We'll get to some of the beneficiary planning. Here's beneficiary, and anybody that has any type of IRA should review their beneficiaries every couple years. It does make a difference. If you have a extremely complex trust, it may disqualify the beneficiaries of that trust for taking out income over their lives, and it may accelerate what they need to take out every year, and possibly as fast as 5 years, liquidate that IRA, which could increase taxes. So I'm not going to get into too many of the details, but if your beneficiary is as simple as a couple of children, they have a lot of options as far as how to distribute the money from the IRA. A spouse can always inherit the IRA and make it their own. So the tax consequences could be deferred further. If you have a charity as a beneficiary, it certainly makes no sense to convert because the charity will not pay income tax. So for charitable people that have the majority of their assets passing to charity, conversion doesn't make sense at all. So we'll look at a couple of examples. What we look at, when will distributions be taken? What will tax rates be at the time of distribution, and earnings during the meantime? So we have Elizabeth, who is 70 years old. She has $2 million in a traditional IRA and $700,000 in outside funds. We'll call this just a CD bank account in CDs. The current and expected future tax bracket is level at 35% for this example. We expect a growth rate in the IRA of 7%. So we have $2 million growing at 7%. And we have the $700,000 in the bank growing at 5.5%. We know that's very challenging right now, but we're talking more normal times. So if we do nothing, she has $2.7 million, right? $2 million in the IRA, $700,000 in the bank. We're not paying any taxes, and in the 15th year, we have over $7 million. However, year 15, Elizabeth is 85. Maybe she takes a big lump sum distribution, or her beneficiaries do. They net out $5.1 million, assuming that growth rate and a 35% tax bracket. If Elizabeth decides to convert, we have $2.7 million, but we have to pay tax immediately, 35% of $2 million. So we're at $2 million, 2.7 minus 700,000. So we have 2 million growing in the IRA at the same rate, 7%, gives you 5.5 million. But you own 100% of this money for federal estate tax purposes. So we compare. There's obviously a benefit. You know, of course, everybody wants $368,000 more, but of course, there are some significant assumptions here. So we have to play with the numbers and look at various examples and probabilities. Any questions on this?
So we're assuming she's gonna live 15 years.
Or her beneficiaries take out a big chunk in year 15. And
How'd you
they're
get to the 5-1? How'd you get to the 5-1?
we pay, so $2 million grows at 7%.
Right.
And then that balance is taxed at 35%. So the $700,000 grows at 5.5%,
Okay.
and that's a portion of this number. And the other portion is $2 million growing at 7%, less 35% tax. So the vast majority of $2 million of this 2.7 is growing at 7%, and then we have to pay taxes on that in the future.
Well, she's taking income out every year too, right?
This does not take into consideration required minimum distributions,
Oh, okay.
which would make this benefit larger
Yeah.
because she'd be taking out.
She's just paying that whole 700,000 to convert the 2 million. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Right.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So that's the 368,000, that's in year 15, right?
In year 15, if they lump it out,
Right. Do you have any idea what the net present value of that is? In other words, if that was...
yeah, 368 benefit in year
Right.
15, yeah, with
Brought that
3% inflation.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it would be roughly 200,000, a little more than half. Money would double in 24 years at 3% inflation. So, you know, very roughly speaking, $200,000 in today's dollars. Good question. I haven't had that one yet after 7 seminars.
Wait, so you pay $700,000 in taxes
In year one,
and 15 years later, if you didn't do that, you would only be $368,000 ahead.
Yes.
So
And I don't know too many.
I mean, looking at that, that doesn't make sense to convert then over the long run.
In addition, I don't know too many 70-year-olds willing to write a $700,000 check. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I don't know too many people willing to write a $700,000 check. Should this person convert? Certainly, probably not all of her money, but maybe a portion of her money, and we'll get into that in a minute. A little bit more attractive example is a 45-year-old has $400,000 in the traditional IRA, $112,000 in the bank. In this example, and this is what a lot of people think, my tax bracket will go down at retirement. Current tax bracket is 28%. Future tax bracket is 25%. We're going to grow the IRA over 25 years at 9%, and the outside funds, that $112,000, growing at 7%. So in this example, we do nothing, $512,000. Paul, age 45, is now 70. He has $4 million, a little over $4 million. If he lumped it all out at age 70, which again is not realistic, but just to understand this, you'd pay almost $900,000 in taxes. In this example, you pay $112,000 today, you have $400,000 in the IRA growing at 9%, and you have $3.4 million for this benefit. Now I would say this is a more realistic example. You have a 70-year-old now